What's up everyone? I want to make another video like this, a bit casual. Let me know if you like this type of video in the comments and I'll make some more. Of course, we'll have plenty with the professional background that you're used to seeing with the proper lighting. I know the lighting's a little, one side of my face is darker than the other. But I like doing this kind of video, this kind of setup for certain topics that I just want to riff on and really flow on, and to convey to you in a different way than and in doing it with the more the more professional background. And as the title suggests, this is probably a pretty significant one. The title is called "They Sold Your Soul." Why they did so and how to get it back, and we'll go into that. What I mean by and who they sold your soul. Who even are they, and what does that even mean? And I want to remind you of a few things you've most likely forgotten. In fact, most of humanity has forgotten these things. And I want to be able to help you have a little bit of remembrance. Because when you remember these things that I'm going to be talking about, and you connect to them, then you win your soul back, so to speak. Because essentially your soul is being sold without you even realizing it. Now, before we go any further, also I just want to say, if you haven't already, I have a new newsletter for HeartSpace, where on that newsletter I will be updating you when there are new videos, new articles. You'll also get my course, A Day Well Lived, for free once it's out. It's not out just yet, but I'm working on it. It's going to be absolutely free, and anyone on that list will have first access to it, which I'm very excited about. It's going to be pretty much the quality of a paid product, but for free, because I want to give a ton of value with the first product I create for this channel. And I just love this stuff, and I want to be able to give you something that can help you right away. So it's going to be called A Day Well Lived. I'm going to put that down below, the link you can go to sign up for the email list. And again, I'm just going to be sending relevant stuff about consciousness, building your consciousness or expanding your consciousness, living your life on your terms, all that fun stuff. So down below, check that out. So the interesting thing about what I mean when I say they sold your soul is, first and foremost, when you grow up, you are conditioned into believing that you are a part of the material world, right? That you're just organic matter, and that's all there is to you. You're an organic system of different things operating, in unison to create what you are, a human being. But what they forgot to tell you is that you yourself are actually a soul. You are a spiritual being in a human body, having a material experience, but you can also have a spiritual experience. But most of us have been sold this idea that our existence is just in the material world, that we don't do anything at a soul level, that some people are convinced that that's not even a thing, that there is no soul experience or other realms or anything of that nature. So there's no quantum field, there's no spiritual world, which would just be pretty much that quantum field. There are no other modes of existence than what we've been sold. And the biggest lie that's ever been told to you, sold to you through your conditioning, and I was sold the same thing, is that you are not a soul, that you are not a spiritual being in a human body. For some of you, that might be the first time you've even heard that phrase. For others, you may have heard it before. But that's exactly what you are. Your body you can think of as just a vehicle for your soul. It's the temple for your soul. But it's your soul that's driving the machine, that's driving the system. When there's no soul, it's like just a truck or a car without a driver behind the wheel. And so what they convinced you of was that all there is this material realm, and in order for you to feel whole, in order for you to fill this gap that you seem to have, like there's always, isn't it interesting how, if you've ever felt this, but so many people acknowledge this, that they feel like there's something missing in their lives. They feel like there's a hole, like an understanding they're not getting, or some kind of satisfaction or fulfillment that they're not feeling. And so the world, the people who essentially are selling us this idea that we're just materialistic, that we're just a part of a physical world, and there's nothing more to it than that. They sell us on this idea that, yeah, well, the reason you have that gap is because you need this thing, or you need to acquire wealth, you need to be a somebody, you need to be famous, right? You need the love and adulation of other people in order to fill that gap. We're told that we need to look for and seek a validation outside of us. That's why they can sell us, different clothes every different season. That's why they can sell us things and say, this is what's going to make you happy. This is what's going to make you fulfilled. But that gap that we're feeling is a disconnect from what we truly are. Because again, we've been convinced that we are these limited, small, non-influential on the universe beings that are only moving about in the material world. And I've seen things, experienced things, heard things from people that just invalidates that. It doesn't invalidate the material world. The material world is clearly a thing. But this idea that there's nothing beyond that, I just can't sit by and say that I believe that to be true anymore, based on some of the things I've experienced, the things other people have experienced, the numerous cases of people who have gone beyond just the material physical realm. And so they've convinced you that you are just of this world, right? They've convinced you that you are limited. They've convinced you that the world works in a specific way, Newtonian physics, and there's nothing beyond that. And anyone who tries to claim that there's anything beyond that is a hack or a nut job, even if they have evidence to back it up, because there are people like Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. Bruce Lipton, and so many others who have, even on the level of science, on a scientific level, through the language of science, which a lot of people need in order to start actually believing these ideas, seeing the evidence on that base. They've brought about that evidence. And you can just I would look into those two specifically, Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton, to see that there is more than just the material realm. There is more than what we've been told there is. And we've been told those things very deliberately, very, very consciously by certain people. But they have proven through the scientific method, through all of what needs to fall into place to be considered scientific evidence, that we are not just material beings, that we are essentially spiritual beings having a human experience. And again, the way they sold your soul is they simply convinced you that you weren't a soul. They simply convinced you that you didn't have a soul, that this thing called a soul isn't, it's just a nice thing people say, like, oh, in my soul I feel this, blah, blah, blah. But it's just a saying. It's just an adage. It's just something that people say. It's not a real thing. That was the biggest lie ever told to you. It was the biggest disruptor of your potential. It was the thing that made you more limited, or feel limited, because at the end of the day, guys, you're not limited. No one can make you limited. They can only make you feel and believe you're limited. But at any time, you can switch that belief system. At any time, you can break the chains of that limited self that people have sold you, and realize that you are limitless, that you are not the body, you are actually a soul within the body, and actually around the body. If you look at works about the soul's not just in your body. The soul is encompassing your whole body. You actually have an energy field around you that certain scientific instruments, and you can again look at Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, can detect this energy around your body, this almost soul energy around your body. So it's not just like your soul's in here, it's also in here. It's also around you. It's also out there. It's not just something that is like, oh, I have to, it's like, we think of it in physical terms, right? We're like, where physically is it, right? Because again, we've been sold this idea that the material world is the only world. Now, why do people want to convince you that the material world is all there is? Because it's a system of control. Because if you realize that you are a limitless being, that there is nothing that you need to be a limitless being, and there's nothing you need to be this incredible thing that you just are naturally, that is your natural tendency, that is your natural right, that is naturally what you are. If you knew that, well, then you wouldn't need to buy all the things that they say is going to fill that gap. That you wouldn't need to engage in so many of the things that when you really take a step back and look at it, you go, that's super weird. Why do I need to buy a million different clothes? every season because they're in fashion and impress people and do all this different stuff. Why do I need to do that? Why do I need to look for love outside of me? Why is it that they put these stars and these athletes and all of these people in front of us and go like, worship these people? You want to be like these people. You want to be the person that everyone loves. Get all of this love from outside of you. Get all of this attention, this validation from outside of you. The reason they convince you that's the way is because the exact opposite is what is true. That all you ever need is already inside of you. All you ever need is always with you because you are limitless. You're not limited. You don't need that new shirt or bag or gaming system or anything to be worthy of everything. And yet, we are convinced through the system of control that we need the new shiny object to feel fulfilled. We need people's love and admiration, when at the end of the day, we are love. We are the embodiment of love, if we choose to be so. But we're convinced, again, by this system of control that requires you to think that you need it to control you. Because if you realize you could be self-authorizing, if you realize that you are this divine, co-creative, infinite being, that, just because you leave this body at some point in time doesn't mean you necessarily leave this universe, that you're now just gone and extinguished forever. That you wouldn't come back in some other form or just return to what it was you came from. But they convince you through the system of control that that's it, this is it, right? This is all there is. And so they sold you on this idea that you need to buy things, that you need to consume. And again, one thing I want to make very clear, the material realm is not inherently bad. It's not bad to want to buy things. It's not bad to want things, right? Like I enjoy certain things. It's not bad to want to go travel and see incredible things. It's not bad to want a certain car. That's not the point. The point is it's against your nature to believe you need those things to feel a certain way. Like I need to buy the car to feel love. Like people will love me if I have the car. Or I need to live a certain lifestyle for people to like me. Because at the end of the day, when people are living in that way, you look at what their main motivation is. Why do they want the car? Maybe it's to impress certain people. Why do they want the money? It's because they want maybe an element of control and power. Maybe it's because, again, they want to impress people. Maybe it's because they want to buy things because they think that will fill a void that they've ignored spiritually. There's nothing wrong with the material realm. It only starts becoming a problem, I would say. And again, that's all subjective, but a problem when you are using the material realm to distract yourself from what you truly are. And the system of control, the one that sells you on these ideas, tells you that you're limited, cannot control you when you realize that you're not limited. It cannot control you when you realize that you're more than just what you see around you in the physical realm. You're more than what you see when you look in the mirror. And you can connect to this feeling. You can connect to what this thing is that you truly are. Because we fill this emptiness with approval. We fill it with, again, validation from others. I mean, so how many people, because I used to be like this, how many of you used to be so motivated or still are, and again, it's not right or wrong, it's just, again, being conditioned from this system. How many, and I was like this for a very long time, I still probably have these tendencies. How many of you have done certain things because you thought someone else wanted you to do it, or did certain things under the pressure of someone else wanting you to do it, or did certain things because you thought it would impress this person or that person or this group of people, or didn't do something because you thought it would step on the toes of this person or that person or a group of people, right? How many of us have done that? Every single one of us. Some of us are still doing it. Most people are still doing it. It's called, being stuck in goop, the good opinion of other people, not living your life in the way that you want, from this limitless place because you're afraid of stepping on the toes of other people. And by stepping on the toes just means not doing what they want you to do. I don't mean going around and being, a complete jerk to people, and I would never condone that, right? Although some people think even if you argue with them and don't agree with them that you're being a jerk. So obviously I mean if you're just going out and deliberately just being mean-spirited. But how many of us, because of our conditioning, because we're told that's what's important, act in that kind of way, right? And so this is just me saying that there's more to it than that. You're not here to live for other people's approval. You're not here to live for validation. You're here to expand and grow and evolve in whichever way you see fit from here, from your soul, again, from what you actually are, which is this limitless self. From this place of not being in fear. I mean, we're told to fear everything. We're told to fear absolutely everything in the system of control. Why do you need to buy these certain things? Security, safety, because fear of death, fear of harm, fear of not being in the core social group, whatever, fear of being rejected. All of these things we're supposed to fear. It's not natural for us to actually feel that kind of way. You see, because at the end of the day, you have everything within your disposal right now to be free. To be free of mind, free in spirit, financially, everything. You have the building blocks you need to achieve any of that. And you also have everything you need to feel whatever it is you want to feel right now. You could feel legitimate freedom in this very moment. You can connect to that feeling, wealth, gratitude. It doesn't matter. And keep this in mind too, this system relies on people believing in it. It is very much propped up based on the beliefs of the population. If, for example, the majority of the population stopped believing in it, it would crumble. It would start to fall apart. If overnight people recognized their own divinity, their own limitlessness, their own experience of being a spiritual being in a human body, in the material world, you have your vehicle for the material world, but everyone's ignoring their vehicle for the spiritual world. They're ignoring their soul. Some are unaware they even have it. But if the majority of people recognize that they have it, and that they can connect to that, and that how amazing they would feel when they do connect to that, people would stop buying certain things. People would stop treating others in certain ways. Problems that we've had forever would start going out the window. And so, the point of this is to get you, not get you, but to encourage you to start seeing this, to see what you truly are, and to remember that you are not limited. Sure, they conditioned you, they sold your soul in the beginning, but you can easily take it back by one, recognizing you have it, and to stop engaging in their system of control. All right, guys, so that's gonna do it. Hopefully that helps, that gives you something. Let me know if you'd like this type of video. This is very much unscripted for the most part. I have like certain, I think, things to keep me not going too far on a tangent, but we all know that's pretty impossible for me. And anyway, let me know if you want more videos of this nature, because I actually enjoy just being able to sit down sometimes and do this instead of having, it all whatever. So I'll probably just do this regardless. But I do like to know if what method of delivery you guys find helps you to absorb the information, to use it, to apply it, to actually get something out of it, because I ultimately want these to be able to help as many of you as possible. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. I know a bit different than normal, but embrace it. Life is change. We are change. And as always, I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.